Good morning. Meeting of the Transit and Bus Committee is called to order. Before we begin, may I ask committee members and anyone else who has access to one of these microphones, I've been advised by the folks who have set up our sound system that you need to be 6 inches away from the mic head in order to be heard, I presume intelligibly. So I'd ask you to please bear with us. Mr. Marino, are there any members of the public wishing to speak?
Mr. Chairman, there are two public speakers for today's meeting. The first speaker is Murray Bowden.
Morning. Where's my picture? Good morning. You may have noticed I was in Cuba 2 weeks ago on a Rhodes Scholar trip for artists, sculptors, and others. This is a legitimate, honest Cuban cigar, which I brought back for Carmen. Would you please give this to the president? I mean, yeah. No, I'm serious.
We have to check the ethics of that. I'm not sure I'm allowed to take that.
Check it. It's legitimate. We change the rules. Oh, by the way, for your board members all over, you need to have lapel microphones because they're also wireless and you don't have to quite as aim as well. I mean, we're into a changing world and a changing technology. And I like the picture. My grandchildren are going to love this one. It's great. We spent a lot of time. Cuba, by the way, is one of the nicest places I've ever been to. It's the cleanest, the friendliest. The cars are the same 1955 that I got when I graduated RPI. Some of the technology is updated, some is not. The food is excellent. The people are wonderful. I spent some time walking on a main street and watching people loading buses. I mean, I knew I'd be here eventually, and I wanted to see what people do on buses, and people are polite. The buses are crowded. They run. People get online. They fill a bus up. They get on. They get off. Everybody pays their fee. Nobody cheats. I thought it was very nice. And it would be nice. We had a private bus that was built in China and had all the facilities as necessary. I understand there's a time limit, but mostly I do appreciate being in this particular committee meeting because it's the future. You guys are leading the way, and I know I'm repeating myself.
Thank you, Mr. Bowden. The next speaker is Orrin Getz.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Orrin Getz. I'm from west of Hudson, Rockland County. Those new customer assistance phones you put in the Times Square station are quite good. They're easy to see, and they're brightly lit, and it's easy for customers to find them. It'd be great if you could extend them to other stations. A problem, though, is at Penn Station is there's not enough clerks when the people get off the Long Island Railroad and try to get onto the 7th Avenue subway. It's a chronic problem. It has to be resolved. Please get more people out there to help the customers. There's not enough vending machines. There are always long lines. Well, assistance could be done getting, as I said, a clerk out there, and also possibly putting in some more vending machines so that people can get on the subway quickly from the Long Island Railroad. And just one final item, I'd like to put in a pitch for the extension of the number 7 subway line out to Secaucus. For us west of Hudson, it would be a fantastic thing. Rockland County has been shortchanged. It would connect very well with our existing Metro North service, and it would be a big boon. There is interest in some state legislatures to push for this project, and also there is very, very strong support on the other side of the Hudson. Please consider this project. It should not be put on a back burner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Getz. That was the final speaker.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of our last committee meeting? Second. All in favor? Minutes are approved. Mr. Bergen, are there any changes to the proposed work plan?
No, Mr. Chairman.
Then I'm happy to turn this part of the meeting over to President Carmen Bianco.
Thank you, Freddie. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our new facility. It's a stark contrast to where we were just a month ago, so I welcome you all here. Before I turn this over to Joe Leader, I'd like to just say that I want to just make sure that everyone's aware how proud I am of the employees of New York City Transit. We've certainly gone through a very, very difficult 2 months here, both in January and up to this point in February, with the weather and sort of the Arctic freeze that we've been in. And you know, whenever you get this level of cold, whenever you have the type of weather forecast for snow that we've received, whether that materializes or not, it forces us to do certain things and requires employees to work longer hours, to work outdoors in some pretty miserable weather. And I just want to say that I am very proud of them. I'm proud of everything they've been able to accomplish, and I think there's a number of employees here at Transit that just can't wait for spring to get here, so that we can kind of reset and get back to some normalcy. But with that, I'll turn it over to Joe for the operating report.
Good morning. I'd like to begin my comments by extending our thanks and appreciation to our customers who continue to use vigilance and demonstrate patience as they use our system throughout these inclement months. Our team has been working to ensure we are providing a safe riding environment for our customers through snow, ice, and frigid weather conditions, and I am deeply appreciative of the team's efforts to date. Snow and ice and extreme cold present significant operational challenges for the subway system. We deploy additional maintenance and response efforts to address the higher rates of component failure that are common during these conditions. While we have developed detailed plans through the years to minimize service impacts, we fully realize that the winter months bring service disruptions to our customers. On-time performance and delays remain a focus on our efforts to improve service. However, we continue to prioritize weight assessment as a more direct measure of customer service. I'm happy to report that December brought steady performance in weight assessment and the highest monthly MDBF since October of 2013. December's MDBF was 159,179 miles, up 12.3% from December of 2013. Throughout the second half of 2014, we have seen a consistent increase in MDBF. Here are some noteworthy December MDBF highlights. The R62 fleet achieved an MDBF of over 733,000 miles for December, and the R160 fleet achieved an MDBF of over 512 miles in December. And that concludes my operational report.
Could I ask Joe a question?
Sure.
Joe, on page where you have the monthly operations reports, you've got under system weekend weight assessment, you've got the A division 1 through 6, and you've got the B division. Where would the number 7 line fit in that chart? Yes.
Okay, 18. Go ahead, Peter.
It's not listed, right?
Yeah, because the 7 doesn't have
Exactly.
ATS, so it's in, I believe it's included in the B division.
In the B
this
division.
statistics.
Maybe we should have a little, maybe that should be indicated at some.
Well,
sometime.
when we get CBTC, we should be able to do that, right, Peter? I
Oh, yeah,
believe
well,
once
then-
we get CBTC,
then
we'll
it'll
be able
1 through
to.
7, of course. Yeah. Thanks.
If we are ready for the, oh, I'm sorry.
I too would
Mr.
like
Birdler.
I too would like to congratulate President Bianco and Mr. Leiter and their colleague for a perfectly splendid job they are doing under extreme pressures. And it is a sound lesson that you have taught in terms of weight assessments being the proper measure. It seems to me that that is something that the railroads could take a good hard look at in terms of the weight assessments at the individual platforms. People appreciate that they know we're going to wait a minute, 3 minutes, whatever it is, but that's what we're going to wait, and pretty close to getting it done, and I thank you for that.
Thank you.
If there are no further comments or questions, I'd like to ask President of MTA Bus, Darrell Irick, to give us our bus performance indicators.
Good morning. I'm pleased to report that MDBF in the month of December was 5,210 miles, a 1.2% increase from last December and a 7% increase from November 2014. While this level of reliability continues the trend we've seen over the past months and reflects substantial efforts and commitment on the part of my team to manage a large population of overage buses, I would like to temper expectations going forward in 2015 by emphasizing the fact that the winter months present the greatest challenges for our fleet. Accordingly, this morning, I would like to provide you with a status report on bus purchases, which has advanced as a result of this board's action. To begin, I will update you on our 300 express bus contract with Prevost. I'm happy to report that the deliveries on this contract are on schedule, with 16 buses delivered and in service. These deliveries are anticipated to be completed by May 2016, with all buses going to Staten Island to replace overaged buses. In addition, work is being performed by Prevost's sister company, Nova, for the delivery of 414 standard local buses. One bus has been placed in service for a 90-day evaluation period. In recent weeks, progress has been made in addressing the open issues required for Nova to receive New York City's transit approval to begin production. Next, our contract with New Flyer for 276 standard local transit buses is going very well. The deliveries on this contract are approximately 35 buses ahead of schedule, with 50 buses delivered already and are in service. Finally, as I have mentioned before, while a large number of our overage buses will be replaced under the current capital program, the remaining overage fleet will only be replaced after the approval of the proposed 2015 and 19 capital program, and that completes bus operations report.
My attention was called last week via an email to something that I've never really focused on. If a bus driver gets a ticket, a traffic ticket of some sort, what happens to that ticket? Does he pay it? Does the MTA pay it? Do they get tickets?
Yes, bus operators do get tickets from time to time, and they're responsible to pay them themselves.
Themselves?
Yes.
And to what extent, if any, is there some procedure in place that makes sure that where they do violate restrictions, that is noted generally in your records?
Yes, yes. We're notified of any moving violations and traffic infractions of our bus operators while they're either in service or in their personal vehicles. And we account for that, and we note the record and take appropriate actions when necessary.
Thank you.
Any further comments or questions on the bus operations report? If there are none, then we'll hear from Cheryl Kennedy on safety.
Okay. Safety results were as follows. With the exception of fires, all items discussed refer to rates. Subway customer accidents and injuries had slight increases when comparing November 2013 to November 2014 and on a 12-month basis. This was mostly due to an increase in slip, trip, fall incidents. Subway fires decreased when comparing December 2013 with December 2014, and 98% were low or average in severity. In December, bus customer accident injuries were down on a monthly basis and flat on a 12-month basis. Bus collision injuries also had a decrease on a 12-month basis. Bus collisions and resultant injuries and bus customer accidents were up on a monthly basis. Employee lost time accidents were down in December 2014 versus December 2013 and for a 12-month period. Thank you.
Any questions or comments on the safety report? If there are none, I think we're ready for Chief Fox and the crime report.
Good morning, all, and thank you for your indulgence. We had spoke by email Friday with a conflicting meeting with the police commissioner today, and I apologize to all for being a few minutes late. Good morning. For the first month of 2015, total major felony crime was down 34.7% within our transit system compared to the same period in 2014. That's 145 crimes this year compared to 222 last year. These 77 fewer major felonies include declines in felony assault, burglary, grand larceny, rape, and robbery. During the period, we averaged 4.7 major felonies per day, down from the 7.2 per day that we averaged in January 2014. Of the 145 felonies in January, 33.8% were committed in Manhattan, 9% in Queens, 40% in Brooklyn, and 16% in the Bronx. The transit system would not be as safe as it is today if it not for the help of the attentive and concerned riding public. Thanks to several alert passengers and the quick help of an MTA New York City Transit employee, our officers were able to quickly apprehend an individual with an illegal firearm. This past Tuesday, several riders on board a northbound 6 train observed a disorderly man making verbal threats while placing a firearm into his waistband as the train approached 42nd Street, Grand Central. They moved to an adjacent car where they were able to alert a platform conductor who was traveling to his nearby assignment. The conductor responded quickly, notifying the train crew to summon police. Moments later, District 4 officers Israel Data and Diane Escalara apprehended 53-year-old Pedro Moreno at 59th Street and Lex, recovering a loaded .25 caliber firearm without incident. Moreno was charged with criminal possession of a weapon and is currently being held, awaiting his next court date. A situation that could have easily escalated was brought to a safe resolution thanks to the quick-thinking subway passengers and the help of this train conductor. Proactively addressing crime and disorder in our subways has long been an important part of our policing. In fact, on the same day as this firearm arrest, 2 other illegal weapons were recovered in separate incidents, each the result of an arrest for an unrelated offense. At Parsons Archer Station in Queens, Officer Rubing Lin stopped an individual for evading the fare by using the emergency exit gate. He was found to be in possession of illegal metal knuckles. Also that day, Officer Melissa Caraballo observed a male walking between train cars as the train approached Broadway and West 116th Street. Upon stopping him, she discovered he was in possession of illegal metal knuckles as well. Arrests that result in the recovery of weapons or proceeds of other crimes are common, and proactively addressing subway violations and fare evasion will continue to be an important method of preventing serious crime within our transit system. Thank you, Freddie Ferrer, Carmen, Joe, and the members of this board. Look forward to your continued support, and any questions or suggestions, please share.
Thank you,
Good morning,
Chief. Are there any
Chuck.
questions or comments? Mr. Merdler.
Chief, if you look at page 53 of the book, unless I'm misreading it, you have the lowest, best crime statistics since 1997. Is that right?
Yes, sir, and it's actually it's early in the year, but we're very hopeful to to come under last year's number, which was last year's 6.11 that we finished the year with was the third best in history, recorded history. So we're confident with all our help together and the good work of our commanding officers and police officers. We want to get there.
You did say, I believe, that the Bronx had the lowest statistics. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks to a very active community board member in the 5-0 precinct.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chuck.
Thank you, Chief. Yes, we've gotten reports about high crime in the 5-0 precinct and on that board.
That's all due to a former borough president.
Undoubtedly. Let me add Chief Fox to congratulations, and I know I speak for everybody on the committee, the men and women of the Transit Bureau for the phenomenal and even breathtaking job you've done in certainly the past couple of years in reversing a trend that we were very concerned about as a committee and the board some years ago.
Thank you so much, sir, and I sure am proud of them. Thank you. Thank you.
Now I'd like to ask President Bianco to address the finance part of the report.
Okay, thank you. And Chief, before I do, I just want to pass on a huge thank you from the New York City Transit team. Great colleagues, the best police force that we could ever ask for, and we're just glad you're here. And I know we say that on behalf of all of our customers too.
Thank you so much, and we feel the same, Carmen. Thank you.
Okay, let's move on to finance. Preliminary 2014 New York City Transit fare box revenue was $4.2 billion. 20.1 million, or 5/10 above the estimate. Preliminary 2014 operating expenses were below the estimate by $250 million, or 3.4%. Labor expenses underran by $172.8 million, or 3.1%, and non-labor expenses were less than the estimate by $77.1 million, or 4.4%. Substantially all of these favorable account variances are timing related and are expected to be offset during the year-end adjustment period. Preliminary ridership, 2014 New York City Transit ridership totaled 2.427 billion. It's 1/10 above the estimate. The 2014 average weekday ridership results compared to 2013 were as follows. Subway ridership was 5.6 million, an increase of 2.4%. Ridership, by the way, exceeded 6 million riders on 29 days in 2014. New York City Transit local bus ridership was 2.1 million. That's a decrease of 2 percentage points. New York City Transit Express bus ridership was 42,000, a decrease of 1%. And paratransit ridership was 28,000, a decrease of 5.1%. An early look at preliminary January 2015 financial results. Farebox revenue was $22.4 million, 6.6% below budget, due mostly to the storm-related temporary suspension of service on January 27th of 2015. Preliminary January 2015 operating expenses were $1.1 million, or 0.2% below budget. That concludes the report.
Thank you. And for the MTA bus financial report, back to President Irick.
MTA bus year-to-date December 2014 farebox revenues were $203.6 million, which is $0.9 million or 0.4% better than the final estimate. MTA bus December 2014 year-to-date non-reimbursable expenses were $615 million, which is $12.7 million or 2.1% higher than estimate. This overrun was driven by higher than estimated labor expenses, including higher payroll expenses resulting from settlements of represented employee and labor contracts and retro wage payments. For ridership, preliminary year-to-date December 2014 MTA bus ridership totaled 125.6 million, which is 0.4% or 0.6 million riders above the estimate. Relative to December 2013, average weekday bus ridership remained the same, and average total weekend bus ridership increased by 2.9%, primarily driven by local service. This concludes the MTA bus finance and ridership reports.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments on that? Mr. Merdler.
Darrell, it's been a while since we've heard problems concerning fare beaters getting on the buses, particularly in Staten Island, as I recall it. And is there some data that shows us that that has been the case, that it has lessened?
I would defer to our security department to talk about any specific statistics. From an anecdotal perspective, as we talk and get feedback from our bus operators, things have gotten better. My operations department have gone out and talked with several different precincts where high fare evasion occurred. And so we believe that there has been some improvement, but I would have to defer any statistical reporting to our security department.
Would you, at some point in the future, when it's convenient, put together whatever information you think you can do without great burden, so we can see where that is?
Commissioner, we are planning on a report, I believe, in the spring that will go over fare evasion.
Thank you.
Else? Thank you, and now we're ready for the capital program and Fred Smith.
Good morning. Looking at capital program results, a total of 46 commitments made during the month of December, totaled $675 million. Station renewals at 6 stations and ADA improvements and line structure work are part of a project on the Sea Beach line. Also, station renewals and component work on the New Lots line. The total over the fourth quarter, we awarded projects at 25 stations, which brought us at the end of the year to 76 stations in construction system-wide. As part of the Sandy repair and resiliency projects, about $150 million was awarded. The largest project being the Cranberry Tube, which is our next tunnel to work in, and work there will begin in late May and take place over the course of about 12 months, on weekends only, as compared to the Montague. Completions during the month of December totaled $214 million. About half of that was part of our track program, both on the main line and yard, on various lines, including Concourse in the Bronx, Flushing in Queens, and Eastern Parkway in Brooklyn. The replacement of the tunnel lining is another major piece of the Greenpoint Tube recovery work. That was completed as well. There is still some fan work that will continue, which we expect to complete approximately mid-2015. And finally, we opened the elevators at Kingsbridge Road. That represents our 85th key station. Between key and non-key stations, we're at 109 now with vertical accessibility system-wide. You can find the quarterly report on page 221 of the report for a full summary of our ADA program. That completes my report, Mr.
Thank
Chairman.
you. Are there any questions or comments? Mr. Albert?
Fred,
Yes,
the work plan for the Cranberry Tube, do you anticipate shutting both directions down on the weekend, or are you going to have one directional at sometimes?
The plan for Cranberry affecting the A train will be weekends
A and
for
C,
both,
right?
both tracks,
Yeah.
with trains diverted to the Rutgers Tube, and it'll take place over approximately 40 weekends over the 13-month period, with some nightly work as well, about 60 nightly GOs.
Fred, is there any plan or prospect for installing an elevator at the end of the number 1 line at 242nd Street in Bronx?
Not in the current schedule. However, as we revisit the 15 to 19 and look beyond the 100 key station program, we'll be assessing the entire system.
You have a fair number of people who have go in and out of Van Cortlandt Park and the like over there. Would you take a look at it when you can?
Yes.
Is there any other question on the capital report or on the entirety of the operating report? If there is none, then we're ready for procurements, and Steve Plachaki.
Good morning. The procurement package, which presents New York City Transit procurements, includes 8 actions totaling $27.2 million in expenditures. I would like to highlight 2 items included in this month's agenda. The first item is a modification in the estimated amount of $5.2 million to a contract with Sperry Rail Incorporated. This modification extends the contract term by 5 years to March 31st, 2020, and provides services to both conduct ultrasonic rail floor detection and testing utilizing the upgraded New York City Transit Track Geometry Car Number 2 and to maintain Sperry's latest ultrasonic rail floor detection system on the TGC-2. Under the base contract approved by the March 2013 board, Sperry is upgrading the New York City Transit-owned TGC-2 by furnishing and installing Sperry's Series 1950 ultrasonic rail floor detection system. This system utilizes ultrasonic sound wave technology to identify defects in the rail, thereby allowing New York City Transit to facilitate preemptive repairs. When the base contract was approved by the board, New York City Transit noted that it planned to subsequently request approval of a 5-year term modification to have Sperry both conduct ultrasonic rail floor detection, testing, and services utilizing the upgraded TGC-2, as well as maintain the new system. Sperry has provided ultrasonic rail floor detection services to New York City Transit for nearly 50 years, utilizing the Sperry-owned diesel-powered SRS 403 vehicle, which has reached the end of its useful life. Once the upgrade to the TGC-2 is completed and this modification is awarded, the TGC-2 will be put into service and the oldest Sperry vehicle will be retired. Under this modification, Sperry shall perform testing for a minimum of 41 weeks per year involving subway mainline test runs, a full-service test run on both subway and elevated and open cut tracks, as well as special inspection runs of mainline critical subway corridors as determined by the Division of Track Engineering. Under a separate contract, Nordco Rail Services Incorporated also provides ultrasonic rail testing services, utilizing New York City Transit's TGC-3 and TGC-4 vehicles. Due to the critical nature of this service, having two contractors provide ultrasonic rail floor detection services with the latest technology allows for redundancy and improved validation of findings. With award of this modification, New York City Transit will continue to have the two recognized premier ultrasonic rail testing companies in the nation under contract for this service. The second item I would like to highlight is the authorizing resolution for New York City Transit's new fare payment system. The board is requested to approve solicitation of the contract by use of a competitive request for proposal process rather than sealed bidding process. The purpose of this project is to replace the existing MetroCard system, which has been in place since 1997. The new system will include a front end utilizing contactless readers that customers will utilize to enter the system, and a back end that allows customers to create and manage their own accounts and will also support financial functions, including payment processing and other back-office functions. NFPS technology will allow bus and train customers to pay fares with a contactless bank card, smartphone, or, for unbanked customers, an MTA-issued smart card. Given the complex nature of this project, it is in the best interest of New York City Transit to utilize the RFP process, which will allow consideration of factors other than price, such as experience on similar projects, technical expertise, creative approaches to the work, and financial offerings in order to determine which proposal offers the best overall value. In addition, the RFP process allows New York City Transit greater flexibility to negotiate terms and conditions that could potentially result in lower overall cost for the project while achieving New York City Transit's requirements. I ask for your approval of all the actions in the agenda.
Merdler.
Steve, I have the same question really on two items. One is on the ACI proposal, and the other one is on the MetroCard RFP that you're proposing. Are we including in the documentation, and did you with the ACI, that we frown upon proprietary component parts?
The ACI modification is an extension of a long-term relationship we've had with ACI. So that particular contract originally emanated from the original Cubic relationship. So in that particular case, we didn't. Certainly moving forward, we will. And as indicated in the new fare payment program, we're asking for all open source and off-the-shelf type products.
Terrific, thank you.
Mr. Albert.
This question you might not answer this, Steve, but Carmen or Joe. How often does the track geometry car run through the system, and is it obviously for both A and B divisions?
The way we have it set up is to create a little bit of competition between both. So we'll run the same amount of times on the ground. So above ground, we run once a year, a full system run, and below ground, we run 3 times a year. And what we've done is so with both companies now, you'll have 2 above ground runs, you'll have 6 below ground runs, and what we do is also run 5 critical corridors. The Queens line, which was one of them after the May 1st derailment, we run 3 additional times. So the car is constantly out there. It's almost running about once a month in the subway itself, in the environment. So we're getting a lot of work out of both cars.
So would you still do the same frequency when you have the new car?
Absolutely, yes.
So
We will
not
continue.
increased frequency, the same frequency?
Same frequency, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Is there anyone else? If there are no other questions and comments, I think we're ready for a vote. And all in favor? The procurements pass. Thank you. And now we're ready for Michael Haradnachenu and certain action items relating to beginning on Cortlandt Street, which is on page 129 of your committee book.
Good morning. Capital Construction this month has a joint action and procurement item for your consideration. The staff summary for these items begins on page 129. First, MTACC is requesting approval to accept the assignment and assume a competitively solicited and negotiated contract between the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey and Judlow Contracting Incorporated for the rehabilitation of the Cortlandt Street No. 1 line station in the amount of $69.6 million. The contract is for the replacement of the original station, which was severely damaged during the terrorist attacks of September 11, 2001. New York City Transit was able to restore service on the line through the station by September 2002, but construction of the new station was postponed until after the World Trade Center Memorial and surface construction were designed and completed. In order to advance station reconstruction, the Port Authority issued a competitive request for proposal. 7 proposals were received, and the contract was awarded to Judlow Contracting in March of 2013. The Port Authority separated the contract into 2 phases. Phase 1, at a cost of $19.1 million, involved structural steel and concrete work to expand the northern end of the station and certain demolition work. This work is mostly complete. Phase 2 includes the complete station fit-out, track reconstruction, signal work, fire protection, communication systems, and vertical transportation. However, the Phase 2 price of $69.65 million was based on the issuance of a notice to proceed prior to July of 2013. This notice to proceed was not issued, and now the contractor is seeking escalation costs. In addition, the construction at the World Trade Center site has progressed significantly since July 2013, which has severely affected access to the station from the street, which means that the majority of the station rehabilitation work has to be performed from underground using additional general orders and work trains. The limited access, the limited availability of GOs, and the difficulty in performing the work has increased the amount of time required to perform the work from 24 months to 36 months. It has also led to the conclusion that MTA is in the best position to coordinate the remainder of the station construction and the required New York City Transit general orders. As noted in the staff summary, the current 2010 to 2014 capital program contains sufficient funds for the assignment of this contract. Upon assumption of the contract, MTACC is requesting approval for a modification to the contract in the amount of $31,492,000. This modification will address escalation, reduced access, the limited availability of GOs, and the increased difficulty in performing the work, as well as the increase in contract duration. It will also address costs for remobilization, the addition of some scope, and the addition of MTA standard terms and conditions. Please note that consideration was given to resoliciting the Phase 2 work. However, MTACC has determined that the added design costs for repackaging the work and the additional escalation for the delay in awarding a contract following a new solicitation would offset any potential savings. Moreover, it is in the interest of the MTA and its customers to open the station as expeditiously as possible. These two items, the assumption of the contract in the amount of $69,658,000 and the modification in the amount of $31,492,000 are therefore submitted for your consideration and vote.
Before questions and comments, may I have a motion and second? Okay, it's moved and seconded. Any questions or comments?
When is it anticipated that construction would begin on Cortlandt Street?
To restart is May of this year.
May of 2015?
Yes.
And do you have GOs in mind for that construction?
Yes, we do, because we must complete the work on the rail by 2016, at which point we can no longer get GOs. So the GOs are bunched up front.
Are they in conjunction with anything else or just for Cortlandt Street?
I cannot answer transit.
Obviously, everything has to work together. So, so one of the reasons that that he mentioned about getting it done early is because this allows it to work with other work going on in the system. But this is a geo-specific, largely to this project.
And do you anticipate shutting down service south of Chambers Street, or one direction only, or?
These would be weekends, and it would be, we've done this numerous times for the work in the past. The number one would end north of there, and the 2 and 3 would operate local through to Brooklyn.
Yeah. Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
For the cost of this, how much is it of this? I'm a little confused by this summary. How much of this is Port Authority money? None.
None of it.
None of it. Is any of this from money from the federal government as a result of the?
No.
No.
This is all our money out of our capital program to rebuild the station.
This is our money out of our capital program.
Why did we take it over from the port? Again, what is the question? Why did we take it over from the port? Well, one of the main reasons is that we're now at a point that is very much delayed, and most of the work going forward is very much depending on us. So therefore, the coordination that we can have with New York City Transit, it's going to be much better than on the MTA side than actually continuing to have vis-a-vis the port, that their focus is totally on something else.
Is there anyone else? If there is no one else, to move this action item to the full board, all in favor? Opposed? The action carries. For service changes, Mark Holmes.
Thank you and good morning. MTA Bus has one information item to present on the BXM2 route, which is a low-volume, low-frequency route which provides express service between Riverdale and West Midtown Manhattan. Currently, the southbound BXM2 travels along the 79th Street Transverse through Central Park, continuing along 81st Street before turning south onto Columbus Avenue. Manhattan Community Board 7 on the Upper West Side has requested that MTA Bus look into revising the bus route from 81st Street, due largely in part to traffic congestion related to the Museum of Natural History. After careful review and consideration, MTA Bus will revise the BXM2 southbound travel path to use Central Park West and West 72nd Street to Columbus Avenue instead of West 81st Street. This revision will relocate one bus stop at the intersection of West 81st Street and Central Park West from the northwest corner to the southwest corner. The net result of this recommended revision would result in no change in annual operating costs, as there would be no change in scheduled travel time or travel distance. This concludes the service change section of the agenda.
Thank you. Mr. Albert.
As one of the people that's brought this to you, we really appreciate this change. Actually, it may end up having a change in travel time. The bus actually may make better time with this new route.
I certainly hope so. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Then we're ready to turn this back to President Bianco for an update on special reports and presentations.
Thank you. Yeah. 14. No, okay. Section 9 of this month's agenda includes our regular status report on the MetroCard program. The following three financial reports for New York City Transit, Staten Island Railway, and MTA Bus are presented in accordance with the MTA annual budget procedures. These reports present the 2015 adopted budget and the February financial plan for 2015 through 2018 period. This report also reflects the inclusion of MTA's adjustments that were presented in the November financial plan, which was adopted by the board in December of 2014. Standard follow-up reports and presentations in accordance with this committee's work plan. This month's agenda includes a number of standard follow-up reports for your information. First, there is the annual report on ADA compliance, and that's what Fred was referring to in his presentation on the capital plan. Second, there is a semi-annual report on service quality for New York City Transit and MTA Bus this month. This includes the passenger environment survey indicators, or PES, for subway cars, subway stations, Staten Island Railway, and buses, along with the semi-annual bus weight assessment results. Also, please note that the New York City Transit bus PES indicators are included as an exhibit this month. The third standard report included this month is the elevator and escalator performance report covering the fourth quarter of 2014, where escalator availability was 96.7%. Where elevator availability was 96.7%, and escalator availability was 94.7%. The fourth standard report is the Transit Adjudication Bureau report, which also covers the fourth quarter of 2014. Finally, in this section, you'll find New York City Transit and MTA Bus EEO and diversity reports. Both reports provide EEO and HR data as of the fourth quarter of 2014. Also note that these reports are being presented this month instead of in March as listed in the committee's work plan. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any questions or comments on this part of the report? If there are none, then I'd like to ask Michael Hrodnicenu for an update on MTACC key projects.
We'll start by talking about the number 7-line extension. At this point, we have, what happened? Okay, I guess power is off. At this point, we are on the major finishes contract. We are 97% complete. We have about 3% to go. I would like to mention that all our escalators, all 9 of them, the level 4 testing, that is the testing witnessed by New York City Transit, has been completed. Elevators, at this point, they still exhibit some delays, although I must say that the inclined elevators are at this point working. I took a ride on them, and they are undergoing, and hopefully by the end of this week, we will pass the level 3, that this is the inside testing, and we'll proceed beyond that. The major work that we are right now doing in conjunction with New York City Transit are the communication systems, and that work, that is both the fire alarm as well as the transportation backbone system, is being looked at it very carefully, and we're pushing forward and working with New York City Transit to be able to complete that work. As far as the secondary station entrance at Site P, we completed 41% of the work today, and the excavation through shoot and blast on the west side was completed. Again, that's something that this particular piece of work is projected to be completed in 2016. I would like to move to Second Avenue. The Second Avenue work, again, we are right now approaching, and this is going to be in the next month or so, the 80% mark. We have a short synopsis of the various stations as to what stage we are in. Do you have it? Okay. Can you go to the next slide? Great. That's the one? That's the next? That's the one. Okay. 96th Street, right now, we have completed the work and covering the area, we had to cut and cover. And at this point, we hope we're doing better in reality than with the pictures. We have on the east side of the roadway, we have, is that in, okay, we have one. On the east side, we have completed the laying down of the utilities. We have water mains, gas lines, electrical lines, and then we started to actually to cover that. Jesus. Wow. We have two ancillary buildings that actually provide fans for the stations. This is at 93rd Street, and it came out already 2 stories above ground, and we already completed the work under 93rd Street. So we are looking forward to complete that. The station at 96th Street, the mezzanine and the platforms are in place right now, and we're working in completing the finishes for that. It's really a work in progress, and we have a way to go until we're done. But this is the most advanced of all the 3 stations. At 86th Street, this is the one that we do have again, most of the mezzanine at level 1 and 2 have been in place. We're now working at a lower level to place the platform. And again, one of the things that we have been able to complete is access from 86th Street. This is actually the access from the Archstone building at on 83rd Street, in which we have underpinned the building and created a shaft of 3 escalators going all the way down to the upper mezzanine. Could you just slow it down so I don't have to rush? Anyways. I know. The next one would be, you can move to the next one. We have an entrance at, well, I wish I had it, but I don't. We have an entrance at 86th Street in front of Yorkshire Building. Is actually, there was a tough go over there. We are now about to complete it. This is entry from the street, and you can see it, and then we have inclined escalators taking you down to the upper mezzanine that is combined also with an elevator, ADA elevator on the south side of 86th Street. This is kind of pictorial as to where we have been, and going forward, this is the, we had to excavate in rock, and then this is actually an entry that has been already concreted, and that is how it looks today. And the work below ground is proceeding. 72nd Street Station has advanced well. This is a picture of the upper mezzanine. We have the duct work, the ventilation ducts, the electrical conduits. The work is actually advanced. And we have the low voltage switch equipment. So we started to install actually the systems here. That will go a long way for us to be able to complete by December 2016. That was something else, but that's okay. We're done.
Are there any questions and comments? If there are none, Mr. Greenberg.
On the 7-line extension, what's our estimated opening date?
At this point, we're working towards what I have said the last time around.
That again?
We're continue to work towards the date that we have discussed the last time around, that will be in the second quarter, and we'll have a more precise date at the next meeting, that is CPAC.
The 63rd Street station, that's on schedule?
The 63rd Street station is on schedule. Actually, I was, one of the things that I thought we had.
Yes, I noticed that was, okay.
We had some pictures. We are actually, if you go there, you'll see that we are refinishing the existing station as we go along. So that's proceeding well.
Mr. Capelli? We're almost at the end of it. So right ahead.
Okay. Just not dealing with Michael's shop, but I got here a little bit late, and I wanted to at least raise an issue that's been in the newspapers, and I've heard from some bus drivers about, which is the mayor's Vision Zero initiative. And I applaud the effort of the city to bring down pedestrian accidents and certainly fatalities. However, what I read in the newspaper causes me some concern, and I was wondering if we can be briefed on exactly what the liabilities are for people who are operating our buses, because there are some things that I've seen that are troubling to me if they are accurate, and I would like to engage in a discussion with the city if my information that I've read is correct.
We have dealt with much of this in advance of your arrival, but President Irick, I think, can respond to that.
Yeah, so, the background is that there was a law passed sometime in 2014 by the City Council. I can't tell you the specifics of it, but it does talk about safety in crosswalks when people are seriously injured in crosswalks. Unfortunately, several of our bus operators have been arrested as a result of that. What I would say is that, whenever there's a pedestrian or fatality involving our buses, it's totally unacceptable, and it's tragic. It's tragic on two fronts. It's tragic to the victims, and it's also tragic to our bus operators. Our bus operators are traumatized. We have a very strong safety culture. We do everything that we can to train our operators and make them successful at that. So, in short, that we would prefer not that our operators are arrested. While we do support all of the efforts and the goals of Vision Zero, we would prefer not that our operators would be arrested, because we do everything that we can to make them successful. And then we have a rigorous program. When an incident does take place, our bus operators are trained, they're given support, and they're also held accountable.
Mr. Murdler.
Just in response, I mean, and I appreciate all of that, and I agree with that. I would still like to be briefed on, is this a strict liability standard, or if I could get briefed on exactly what occurs. I mean, is somebody arrested every time that there's a contact with a pedestrian?
Can we arrange for that offline?
Mm-hmm. Yes, we can.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Murdler.
If I understand correctly, it is city policy that allows the arrest of a driver of a passenger vehicle under certain circumstances when he hits a pedestrian in a crosswalk. Am I correct in that understanding? Under certain circumstances.
That's our understanding, under certain circumstances.
Why should a bus driver be treated any differently?
Well, so what I would say is this: that we're not extremely happy about that. The one thing that we're asking for is fairness, and quite frankly, at this point in time, I couldn't speak any further about that. I mean, I think it's a discussion that we have to have offline.
Can we include then Mr. Murdler in that briefing?
Will do.
Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? Then a motion to adjourn is in order. Second? All in favor? The meeting is adjourned.